What if I told you that the biggest lie you've ever believed isn't about money, love, or success, but about the roads you didn't take? Right now, as you're watching this, there's a voice in your head whispering about that job you didn't apply for, that person you didn't approach, that dream you abandoned. And here's the savage truth nobody wants to admit. You're addicted to this poison. Studies show that 76% of people, when facing death, don't regret what they did. They regret what they didn't do. But what if this entire framework is a psychological trap designed to keep you weak, paralyzed, and forever looking backward instead of creating forward? Society has sold you the comfortable lie that reflecting on what could have been is somehow noble, even necessary. But Friedrich Nietzsche saw through this delusion over a century ago, and what he discovered will shatter everything you think you know about regret, choice, and the very nature of a life worth living. Are you ready to face the brutal reality about those roads not taken? Because once you see what I'm about to show you, there's no going back to the comfortable prison of what if. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to reveal will expose the mental poison that's been slowly killing your potential for years. You know that feeling when you're lying in bed at 3 a.m. and suddenly your brain starts playing that twisted highlight reel of missed opportunities? That's not reflection. That's psychological self-torture. Here's what's really happening. Every time you indulge in what-if thinking, you're literally rewiring your brain to become a prisoner of the past. Neuroscientists call this rumination, but I call it what it really is. Mental masturbation that produces nothing but shame and paralysis. Think about it. When was the last time obsessing over a road not taken actually changed anything? When did replaying that conversation you should have had, that risk you should have taken, that person you should have called, when did any of that fantasy improve your reality? Never. Because you're not solving problems. You're creating new ones. But here's where it gets truly savage. This isn't just harmless daydreaming. This is what Nietzsche called ressentiment, the poison of the weak spirit that feeds on its own suffering. You're literally choosing to be a victim of decisions that no longer exist, in situations that can never be changed, with people who have moved on while you remain frozen in time. The brutal truth? Every minute you spend mourning roads not taken is a minute stolen from the road you're actually on. You're so busy looking in the rearview mirror that you're about to crash into the very future you claim to want. So ask yourself this: are you living your life, or are you just the curator of a museum of regrets? Because the difference between these two will determine whether you die as a creator or as a victim of your own imagination. Now we're diving into the most dangerous philosophical concept ever conceived, one so radical that it can either liberate you completely or terrify you into denial. Friedrich Nietzsche didn't just challenge Christianity or morality, he challenged the very foundation of how we relate to our existence. And what he discovered will either transform you or break you. Amor Fati. Love your fate. Not accept it, not tolerate it, not make peace with it. Love it. Every betrayal, every failure, every moment of crushing disappointment that you've been carrying like a cross on your back, Nietzsche says you must learn to love it all with the passion of a lover embracing their beloved. But wait, before you dismiss this as philosophical nonsense, consider this. What if your resistance to your past is the very thing keeping you weak? What if every ounce of energy you spend wishing things were different is energy stolen from making things better? Here's where Nietzsche gets truly savage. He believed that regret, remorse, and resentment about the past are symptoms of what he called slave morality, the mindset of those who see themselves as victims rather than creators of their reality. Think about that for a moment. Every time you say, "I should have," "I could have," "if only I had," you're speaking the language of slaves. If this content is challenging everything you thought you knew about dealing with your past, hit that like button and subscribe to Mind Revelation, because we're just getting started, and what's coming next will completely revolutionize how you see your entire life story. The most powerful people in history, from Marcus Aurelius to Steve Jobs, didn't succeed despite their struggles. They succeeded because they transformed their struggles into fuel. They didn't just accept their fate. They fell in love with it so completely that they couldn't imagine being anyone else or having lived any other life. So here's the question that will haunt you. Are you ready to stop being a slave to your past and start being the author of your future? Prepare yourself for the most terrifying thought experiment in human history, one that will either expose you as a coward or reveal the warrior you're capable of becoming. Nietzsche called it eternal recurrence, but I call it the ultimate test of whether you're truly alive or just pretending to be. Here's the scenario. Imagine a demon appears to you tonight and whispers, "The life you have lived and are living now, you will have to live again and again, countless times. Every pain, every joy, every thought, every sigh, everything must return to you in the same sequence. The eternal hourglass of existence will be turned over and over, and you with it, you speck of dust." Stop. Right now. Feel that in your chest. Would you curse this demon? Or thank him? This isn't just philosophy. This is a psychological X-ray of your soul, because your immediate reaction reveals everything about how you really feel about the life you're living. If the thought of repeating your exact life infinitely fills you with horror, then you're not living, you're just surviving. But here's where it gets even more brutal. Most people fail this test not because their lives are objectively terrible, but because they've never truly owned their choices. They've been sleepwalking through decisions, letting society, family, or fear choose for them. They're horrified by eternal recurrence because they realize they've never actually lived their own life. Think about your worst moments. That betrayal, that failure, that crushing disappointment. In the eternal return, you'd experience it exactly the same way, infinite times. Can you love even that? Can you say yes to the totality of your existence, including the parts that nearly destroyed you? This is what separates the strong from the weak. The strong don't just accept their fate. They become so aligned with it that they choose it again and again eternally. They transform every wound into wisdom, every setback into strength. So I'm asking you directly, if you had to live your exact life on infinite repeat, would you be grateful or would you beg for oblivion? Here's the psychological bomb that's about to obliterate everything you think you know about those missed opportunities. Your brain is a compulsive liar, and the roads not taken that haunt you, they never actually existed the way you remember them. Let me destroy this illusion piece by piece. When you fantasize about that job you didn't take, that relationship you didn't pursue, that business you didn't start, your brain conveniently edits out all the potential failures, struggles, and disappointments that would have come with those choices. You're not mourning real alternatives. You're mourning Hollywood movies your mind created. Neuroscience calls this rosy retrospection bias, your brain's tendency to remember the past more positively than it actually was, and imagine alternative futures more positively than they would have been. You're literally torturing yourself with fabricated perfection that exists nowhere except in your imagination. But here's the truly savage part. While you're busy romanticizing these phantom paths, you're completely blind to the actual opportunities in front of you right now. You're so obsessed with the fictional paradise you lost that you're missing the real paradise you could create. Think about it. That person you should have asked out might have rejected you, cheated on you, or been completely incompatible. That job you should have taken might have led to burnout, toxic colleagues, or a dead-end career. That business you should have started might have bankrupted you and destroyed your relationships. Your brain doesn't show you these possibilities because it's not interested in truth. It's interested in keeping you stuck in a comfortable prison of regret, where you never have to risk anything real again. The most successful people understand this psychological trap. They know that every path has thorns, every choice has consequences, and every road leads to both triumph and struggle. They don't waste energy mourning fictional perfection. They invest energy creating actual progress. So stop grieving for lives that never existed and start building the life that actually can. This is it, the moment where everything changes or nothing does. You've journeyed through the psychological wasteland of regret, faced Nietzsche's most brutal truths, and stared into the abyss of your own illusions. Now comes the ultimate question. Will you emerge as the creator of your destiny, or will you crawl back to the comfortable prison of what if? Here's your transformation blueprint. Starting today, you become what Nietzsche called the Übermensch, not a superhuman, but a human who has transcended the slave mentality of victimhood. Every morning, instead of asking, "What if I had done differently?" you ask, What can I create today? Instead of mourning fictional roads, you build real bridges. The practical application is savage in its simplicity. When regret whispers, you respond with action. When your mind tries to drag you into the museum of missed opportunities, you redirect that energy into the laboratory of current possibilities. You become so obsessed with creating your future that you have no time to mourn your past. But here's the final, most dangerous truth. This transformation requires you to kill the version of yourself that finds comfort in suffering, the part of you that enjoys the drama of regret, the identity built around being a victim of circumstances. That version must die for the creator to be born. You've made it this far, which means you're already different from 99% of people who would have clicked away when the truth got uncomfortable. In the comments below, write one word that represents the person you're choosing to become. Not who you were, but who you're creating. Let that word be your declaration of war against mediocrity. The road not taken was never the point. The road you're building right now, that's where legends are born. Stop looking back at fictional paradises and start creating real ones. Your future self is waiting, and they're counting on you to stop being a tourist in your own life and start being the architect. The choice is yours. Remain a curator of regrets or become a creator of reality. Choose wisely. Eternity is watching.